right, hello everyone. Welcome once again to another week of Winter Nature Challenge 2021. So we are rolling right through, and it's hard to believe it is almost March. Thanks once again, everyone, for coming in and joining us. We have over 400 people registered for these webinars now, and we've been having some great participation for our guided outdoor events, which is just fantastic. And we've been getting a lot of pictures and media and people sending us stuff in regards to the challenge every week. So it's really cool to see people still engaged and participating in the challenges and getting out there and enjoying the beautiful places that the South Shore has to offer. So once again, my name is Brian Taylor, and I'm the educator with the North-South Rivers Watershed Association. And we're just really excited to have everyone here. While this presentation is going, if you're new to this, we are happily accepting any donations. This is a free program, and so your donations are greatly appreciated. We have over $800 have been donated so far, and so while the presentation is going on, I will put in the chat a link to either to this page so you can donate online, or a text to donate as well. The number will be posted. It's posted right there, but I'll also include it in the chat. So if you'd like to do that, it's all very secure, and all donations will be split evenly amongst all three organizations, that being the NSRWA, the South Shore Natural Science Center, and then Mass Audubon. So we definitely, your support would absolutely help allowing us to continue to offer programs like this and other programs in the future. So it's greatly appreciated, and thank you very much for that. So I will go ahead and introduce Doug Lowry with Mass Audubon Southeast Region to hear about our sponsors.
There we go. Helps to hit the unmute button. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, we really appreciate you joining us tonight. And like every week, we want to take a minute to give kudos to our corporate sponsors. Clean Harbors has been a long time sponsor of this event, and we're always glad to get support from the Mass Cultural Council. Yeah, and again, like Brian was saying, if you want to contribute, that's awesome as well. So yeah, as Brian said, I work for Mass Audubon, and I'm just going to plug one program, a little self-serving here. I'm next Friday at noon. You can see the link there on this slide. I'm going to do a presentation on expeditions to the central coast of British Columbia. I've participated in about 14 month-long expeditions along this coast, and it's just one of my favorite places on the planet. And so we will spend some time exploring the natural history, the human history, and also talking a little bit about what it takes to put together an expedition and some of the risk management issues that you might run into along the way. Yeah, so check it out. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about this week's winner from last week's challenge. And Nancy Larson is coming through big time again. This is Nancy Larson and her grandson pulled apart an owl pellet, and look what they found. Pretty amazing. That's almost a complete, I can see a clavicle, I can see femurs, I can see jawbones. That's awesome. And then a great illustration of a barn owl. So good on you. Nice work. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker for tonight, and you know her. And I've been in this industry for many years, and I know that folks that choose this line of work are often very dedicated, hardworking, wear many hats, and put in long hours. And Chris is kind of the epitome of that. She's an amazing educator and manager, and we're so grateful to have her in our community running the South Shore Natural Science Center. So I think she's going to talk a little bit about what's coming up in her neck of the woods, and then she'll do our tonight's presentation.
Those are very kind words, and I do love it. And I honestly have loved hanging out with Doug and Brian. One of the challenges in our field is that we're always so busy running around that we don't really get to, even though we do a lot of collaboration, we don't get to do any co-teaching, and it's been a lot of fun. And the owl prowl that we did on Sunday, was that Sunday night? It seems like a long time ago, but Sunday night, that was fabulous. And we saw some amazing, so many amazing species, you know, different species of birds, but you know, we've got to see some short-eared owls, which was a first for me. So that was really, really exciting. So thank you for leading that, Doug. And if you've not been to Daniel Webster Sanctuary, be sure to get there, because it is just a beautiful, beautiful spot with so many great sightings. So thanks for that, Doug. So yes, so we've been super busy. Nature Adventures Camp registration is open, and if you want your child, grandchild, neighbor, anyone that you know to attend camp at any of our location, you know, the Science Center or Mass Audubon or North and South Rivers, jump on it, because I have never seen registration like we are having right now. So just if you want your child outside this summer at a camp, be sure to just do that now. So, all right. So I'm going to be talking about the City Nature Challenge, which is coming up here. Right around the corner. It's going to be here before we know it. So the City Nature Challenge, the Boston area. And I'm going to talk about what it is and how to get involved. But first off, I want to make sure I just say thank you to Battelle. They have sponsored and underwritten a grant for the South Shore Natural Science Center and the South Shore Y to train folks in our community to educate, train, and challenge individuals to participate in the Boston area City Nature Challenge. And so that's what we're doing. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. We're going to have some follow-up workshops, both in person and online. And so tonight is just an overview, and we urge you to get involved as much as possible with this cool event. So thank you again to Battelle. All right. So what is the City Nature Challenge? Essentially, it's celebrating urban biodiversity for an international community competition. And it started not that long ago. So it started in 2016 between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and they wanted to capitalize on their friendly rivalry. And so two of the museums in each city, a museum in each city, they got together and came up with the City Nature Challenge using something called iNaturalist as a platform, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. So for that first year, in 2016, they had 1,000 volunteer observers. They made 20,000 observations, and each city recorded 1,600 different species, which was a record for both cities from a biodiversity and BioBlitz standpoint. That was the most observations that had been made this was over a week's period of time. So then in 2017, it went national. And then by 2018, it went international. So then come to 2020. These are the cities that were actually involved in 2020. And that was during the pandemic. So it's just awe-inspiring to see how many different places around the globe are participating in the City Nature Challenge each year. So what is biodiversity and why is it important? And here we have a picture from the Amazon rainforest. But essentially, in very simple terms, it's all the life found in one area. So we have global biodiversity. You might have biodiversity of your backyard. You might have biodiversity of a region. But essentially, again, it's all the life found in that one area. And it could be microscopic life all the way to your megafaunas. More in depth, it's 3 intertwined features that really make up a biodiversity of a particular area. So there's ecosystem biodiversity, there's species diversity, and then there's genetic diversity. And the more intertwined that those 3 aspects are, the more diverse and resilient that it's going to be. And think about the rainforest. Think about how diverse that those systems are, and that the health of that system is also going to play a part. So the more diverse it is, typically the healthier the ecosystem as well. So why is urban biodiversity important? So one of the things that we know is that urban areas often play an important corridor to so many species. And when we really start looking, there is a lot of biodiversity in urban areas. And here's just a couple of pictures of, for example, we have this this dove who decided to make its nest on a lounge chair. This is just a picture of a nest in Dorchester at one of the parks. And this is a warbler passing through, and I don't know who was more startled, myself or the warbler. It almost flew right into me, and I was just happened to be walking out of a building. So we know that we have different species all around us. When we really start observing, I think we can be surprised at how much diversity and biodiversity there is surrounding us. So when we talk about the City Nature Challenge, it really depends on citizen science in order for it to happen. So what is citizen science? And here was a picture from our walk on Sunday. And here is citizen science happening. We're making observations. And in the background, there are photographers taking photos. And so this right here is an example of citizen science. But it's also known as community source science or crowdsourced science. And so you are looking towards the masses to help support different projects that are often started by professional scientists, and professional just means that they get paid. And that's typically what professional means in that aspect. But it's really the idea that anyone can contribute to science. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Not recoding, but recording observations, exploring results, and learning by analysis. And so back when science was a hobby, it was really the rich that could afford to do all these various experiments and study and publish their findings. But really in the 1990s, the idea of citizen science really took hold, and it's just grown and exploded to where it is today, and it continues to grow. And there are so many great citizen science projects that you can participate in. Anything from your backyard feeders to certifying vernal pools, Christmas bird counts, the breeding surveys, bird breeding surveys. There are just so many that you can actually go. There are different websites that you can go to that actually list all of the different citizen science projects that you can get involved with in your area. So then we bring it to what the Boston area City Nature Challenge. So the City Nature Challenge is the overarching project, but then within each city or area, they have their own kind of objectives and mission. So for Boston, it's to increase the scientific knowledge of the wild biodiversity habitats present in the City Nature Challenge. And so for Boston, we are lucky. And so we have the terrestrial, aquatic, and we also have marine areas. So we do that. We hit those objectives by adding research grade observations to iNaturalist. And when you join the workshops in the next part, we will talk more about how to make research grade observations. But essentially that's making sure that we're taking multiple photos of the same species, that we aren't taking, that the pictures that we're loading are wild and not cultivated or are pets. And so those are some important pieces, and then trying to help identify the species. So in order for a species to be made research grade, you have to have at least 2 people within the iNaturalist community identify it and agree on the species. It provides opportunity for everyone to contribute, collaborate, and investigate, and pose up research questions through open science practices. And open science is basically data sourcing as well, which is what iNaturalist is. It's to engage diverse communities. So we want to expand the diversity of those who are participating in the City Nature Challenge, young and old, across socioeconomic background, and different races as well, and cultures. And then it's to develop participant expertise by building skills of observation, identification, and submission and access to the data. And so one of the great things about iNaturalist and the City Nature Challenge is that as you are making your observations, it helps you to become more excited about being there. It helps you to pay attention and observe. And you might take a walk and just like, oh yeah, there's a tree or there's a flower, or look at that bird, I wonder what it is. But when you really start taking photos and making observations, you might turn over a log and say, oh, okay, look at, there's 30 different things underneath this log. And so it just helps open your eyes to how much diversity there is around us. So defining the Boston area, people say, oh, the Boston. I'm like, I'm not in Boston. Well, Boston is essentially, it's the 495 corridor. So 495 east, they've recently added Stellwagen Bank, and then just last year, Cape Cod and the islands. So that's actually a fairly large area. And looking at the population of Boston area, of what's highlighted, we know that we can get more folks involved, get more folks outside to make and help make those observations and get those uploaded to iNaturalist. And again, we're lucky because we have a terrestrial, aquatic, and marine ecosystems. And I just think of the town of Plymouth, and there's 365 ponds right in Plymouth. And if you really start looking into ponds, especially in the springtime, there's so much biodiversity in ponds, macroinvertebrates, and different fish species, just so many things that you can be looking at besides just on land. And if we get scuba divers and lobstermen and folks that are out on their boats, if they're brave and out there at the end of April and into May, we can get even some more observations entered. So just taking a look at the 2020 City Nature Challenge results. So for Boston, we had just under 1,100 observers, but globally there are over 41,000 observers. So for observations, we had 15,000 in Boston, over 800,000 worldwide. And then species in Boston documented 1,700 in the Boston area, and globally 32, another typo there, 32,000 species. But what is awe-inspiring to me is that there were 1,300 rare, endangered, or threatened species that were identified and uploaded to iNaturalist. So one of the great things about iNaturalist as well is that if it is on the, if it's listed as threatened or endangered, iNaturalist will automatically obscure that location. And so that might be one of your questions that you're asking about is, oh, I don't want that to be uploaded because I don't want people to know where I'm at. And so iNaturalist does that for you automatically. All right. So who can participate? And this, we want everyone to participate. So we want folks who are just out taking walks, that enjoy being outdoors. Maybe you're just curious and you're wondering. You know, we talked about wondering and curiosity earlier on in the Winter Nature Challenge series. And so this is a great way to get involved. But we need folks to get out there and we need to have those pictures of the blue heron and the belted kingfisher and this common loon. These were all John Gluzzo's photos that he had sent over. But these are great. We don't always see these. You know, especially the common loon. And so it's great seeing the photos that get uploaded to iNaturalist. I'm like, wow, look at that. That's great. I can't believe that someone found that species right here in the area. So what do you need? What do you need to participate? And actually, you don't need much at all. So you need some observation skills. And those will become more and more clear and crisp as you continue to observe and you sharpen those observation skills. You need an iPhone or a Samsung or just a camera and your computer. So you don't need to have a smartphone in order to participate in this program. You can download the app, but you can also, you know, you need to download the iNaturalist app, but you can also just go to iNaturalist.org and set up your own, set it up on your desktop, your laptop, your iPad, what have you. So it's usually very, very user-friendly. So those are essentially the three things that you need to participate. So how do you get involved? So basically you join the 2021 Boston Area City Nature Challenge. But first, just mark your calendar. It comes up quickly. And again, April 30th through May 3rd. And one of the challenges that we do have with the City Nature Challenge is the time of year. For us, some of the observations are not that they're challenging, it's just there is not always as much to observe, or it's more challenging because plants haven't leafed out. You know, we do have some migratory birds that are coming through, and so that's great to be able to document those. But yes, so The weather can be a little bit challenging, and last year, I think it rained 3 of the 4 days that we were observing. And they have extended it a little bit this year. No, I guess it's still the same, 4 days. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So mark your calendar. And then, as I mentioned, you want to download the iNaturalist app and create an account. And as I mentioned, also, you can just visit iNaturalist.org and do it on your computer or your laptop. And then record your observations with a photograph and upload those photos. So one of the big important pieces is that, practicing in your backyard is fine. And that if you are practicing in your garden, in your flower beds, on your fruit trees, that you just mark it cultivated. There's an opportunity to mark those as cultivated projects. Cultivated species. And so it is important that you're doing those. And then once you are in to iNaturalist, you actually want to look for a project. So there are all sorts of projects that you can get involved with. And you're just going to search for the City Nature Challenge 2021, the Boston area. And as I mentioned, if you're making observations around a specific location that you don't want to share, you can obscure it. And then you can also check out the Boston Area Biodiversity Project for up-to-date observations, including yours. They'll be listed on there as well. And so then what happens after that? So once all these photos are in the system of iNaturalist, a variety of folks go in and they start making the confirmations, and that's where we work to label items and photos and observations as research grade. And so again, in order for it to be research grade, the photo has to be clear, and 2 different individuals have to agree that it is a particular genus and species. So a particular species, and sometimes there's back and forth and there's disagreements and arguments. And this isn't just for professional scientists. This is anyone in the iNaturalist community can participate in the confirmation. And it's actually a lot of fun, and I learn a lot as I'm going through and helping to confirm, but we need the Blakes, and we need the Sarah Grady's and the Doug Lowry's, and we need all those folks and the Brian Taylors to jump in and try and help identify and get those photos to research grade. So one of the things that we'll be learning in the workshop, which is coming up, is that how to take photos and the ethics behind taking photos. So those are some of the things that we'll talk about. But really getting clear pictures and getting multiple pictures, because when you are uploading a species or a picture of a species, you can upload multiples, and it is important that you're taking a picture from a couple different viewpoints to help with the clarity. The City Nature Challenge workshop is coming up on Tuesday, March 2nd, and it is free. It's going to be with Brian and I, and it is first come, first serve. It's limited space, so just reserve your spot, and it'll be a lot of fun. And so we'll teach you how to download. Well, we're going to ask you to download the app first, and Brian will be sending over some information. So we'll learn how to use iNaturalist. We'll take pictures of some different species. We'll upload it. So it'll be an interactive hands-on workshop for that. And it is free. Thank you to Baffelle. So with that, if anyone has any questions, we do have a couple. Oops, I missed a slide. Where'd it go? I will send out the challenge. My slide of the challenge didn't come up, but if we have any questions that people have, they can ask the questions in the chat function.
Chris, I don't see any yet, but let's see if we can prompt people here. So here's a challenge right now. Go ahead and in chat, write a species of animal or plant that you learned about this year. Here's a question from Sarah. Speaking of Sarah Grady. How do I become a pro and help confirm IDs? Asking to receive.
Yeah, so Sarah, when you join the iNaturalist community, there is an opportunity to go in and just confirm observations. And so you basically help by entering, if you know what the species is, you just enter it, and then someone else will come behind you and confirm it. And so it's really, really easy to do that with the observations.
And Nancy Larson, who, surprise, surprise, I think she's going to participate. She asks a great question. Should photos be sent as original sizes?
It allows you to upload a certain size. So when you, great question. So when you are in iNaturalist, depending if you're using a camera or if you're using your phone, it'll tell you or allow you or not allow you to upload that certain size. But if you're using your phone and you're taking your observations with your smartphone, that will automatically allow you to upload. Cameras are a little bit different, where you're going to upload your photos from your camera via your desktop, your laptop, and those do have size limits. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Great. John Bond asks, did you say there'd be an online training session?
Yes, there'll be more online training sessions that go deeper into depth. Again, more about the ethics, and specifically more about iNaturalist, how to do it. And then we're going to be doing in-person workshops like the one that's coming Tuesday. We'll be offering those throughout the spring. And then what we really want to do come April 30th through May 3rd is to work with different groups who are experts in their field to go comb the beaches or go and exploring in the ponds, to also take photos and upload them and kind of lead different groups that are, of course, socially distanced and safe. We need photographers. One of the challenges are birds, because it's hard to get a picture of birds that are clear and crisp on a phone. And so having the photographers like you, John, come out and join some of the walks, and or just go out on your own and take photos with your longer ranges lenses.
Excellent. We've got another couple of good questions. Can I upload an observation even if I'm not sure what it is?
Absolutely. Great question. And so, yes, you can upload that, and you would put it as unknown. It's an option. And you can also use, the great thing about Open Science is it helps identify what it is. So even if you don't know what it is, it might give you a suggestion. It comes up with several different suggestions, and you can say, oh, you know what? That is not around here. It's probably not that species. And so oftentimes you can at least get it down to the genus. And then that's where those pros that Sarah was talking about will go in and help identify it even further. And you'll get notifications when it becomes when someone makes a comment or if it becomes research grade, you'll get a notification on those.
Mm-hmm. So Teresa, that is a great question, and I'm sure Chris and Brian would vouch for this. It's always, never underestimate your ability to observe. You know, if you're out with a bunch of bird watchers that have had a lot of experience, you benefit them by having another pair of eyes. And it doesn't matter whether you know the species or not. If you see something, maybe somebody else doesn't see it. And so you're valuable at any level. And I think this is part of what the whole, this project is all about too, Chris, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the goals and the objectives is to get more folks of all levels, not only to get out there, but get interested and increase your expertise or build upon it, and that curiosity and that wonder, getting you excited to just get outside and start observing the world around you.
And Nancy asks, how long does it take for iNaturalist to respond to an observation?
Yeah, so it all depends on the folks that are on there, because again, it's all done through the community of iNaturalist. And so sometimes you never get a response necessarily, or it never gets identified. And so it does help if you can key it down at least to whether it be a plant rather than just unknown, because if you do log into iNaturalist, you can see loads and loads and loads of unknowns. And so those take a long time to sift through. Whereas if you at least have a genus, someone in the plant world, they might go, okay, I'm gonna go and look at these genuses. Another thing about iNaturalist too is that, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, never mind, I'll come back to it, but yes, so you may never get your picture identified. But again, the more different angles that you can take, and if you can key it down, that's really helpful.
And I think iNaturalist is one advantage over the traditional guidebooks is that you can record it at different angles, whereas with a guidebook, you're usually just looking at one simple, well, yeah, one angle.
Right. And that's the thing. It does take those photos and compare it to other similar photos. And so that's how the identification works. And so that's a really great feature of iNaturalist, is that you can use it not only as an observation, but you're using it as an identification tool as well.
Yeah, don't be bashful, folks. If you've got, oh, thanks. Melanie says that one species she's learned about this year is bobolinks. Great bird. Anybody else want to throw their species in? Well, very good.
I mean, Doug, do you want to talk about O'Brien next week's?
Sure. Yeah. Brian, you want to come on and we'll.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. So he and I are going to be joining forces here and presenting for next week's webinar on next Wednesday. And so this one will be a guide to your very own river adventure. So we're going to be including lots of really cool information here. Obviously, it's getting a little warmer outside. And so a lot of us might be getting excited, start thinking about maybe going out for a paddle sometime soon, or getting ready for the summer, knocking the dust off that canoe or kayak and just getting it ready and getting thinking about going out for that adventure. So we definitely want to be a resource for people who are maybe not as familiar with the North or South River, or even the Green Harbor River, or places to go paddling, things to think about, safety issues, as well as including lots of history, both natural history and local history in regards to both the river. So we're going to be including lots of cool information, and we're definitely going to make sure that we have plenty of time for some Q&A at the end, because I know that lots of folks have a lot of questions in regards to any of the topics and about anything about the river. So I have personally spent the past 3 years doing an extensive amount of paddling in and around all these areas, both canoeing and kayaking and swimming. And I know that Doug Lowry absolutely has so much more experience, and I, in fact, will be excited to learn from his side of the story of leading trips, camping in places. And so this is basically anyone who is interested in going out and planning an adventure on one of the rivers around here. This is the place to start. And so very, very much excited for this one. Doug, is there anything else you wanna add? I don't want to give too much away.
No, that's exactly right. They are, you know, the North and South rivers, and as you mentioned, the Green Harbor River and other bodies of water around here, we are just blessed. So grateful to have these rivers as a resource. They have such a tremendous amount of, or they've had a tremendous amount of influence on our community. And it's just amazing that many people don't get to see the beauty or understand the significance, both historically and in the environmental importance of these rivers. And so those that have a chance to get out paddling get to see that in person. And Brian and I hope to convey some of that as well. It's just a wonderful resource, and we can use it respectfully, and that will be a part of our presentation as well. Let's give a round of applause to Chris, and we can support her to get out there and participate in the challenge. And I think.
Yeah, and thanks, Doug. And I will, I think my challenge slide is hidden, but I'll send it over to you, Brian, that you can send it out in the email. But one of the challenges, just off the top of my head, one was to record a new to you species. Another one was to download the iNaturalist app and create an account. And then the third one was to upload a research grade observation. So those are the 3 challenges for this week, and we will send those out with the email.
Awesome. Chris, is there any last bit of information you want to include? Otherwise we can start to wrap it up.
Looking forward to getting more folks outside and getting helping to contribute to the Boston Area City Nature Challenge. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And thanks everyone for joining. And like Chris said, you will be all receiving an email with the challenge information, as well as the link for the to sign up for the guided free event on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So please sign up if you are interested in that, so you can receive any updates and information. Otherwise, thanks for participating once again, and we are looking forward to either seeing you on Tuesday or seeing you virtually next week, Wednesday, for a guide to your very own river adventure.